We need a different system to not create workers and middle managers anymore, but to create leaders and entrepreneurs.
So Daniel, we've seen a new paradigm moving away from industrial economies to conscious economies. So first of all, what is a conscious economy?
So the way I look at it is there's different things in this conscious economy, like conscious capital, sustainability, responsible leadership, and like social entrepreneurship as well. Put them all together and put a roof over it, and I think that's the conscious economy.
And why are we seeing this change?
I think mostly it's because the new generation, you can call them millennials or maybe the generation after that, as they're rushing into the workforce and starting new companies, they're doing things much more differently. Their main driver is purpose. Their main driver is they want to do something that has a real impact. And I think that's why we're seeing this huge change, because it's naturally going there. So the workforce and all the older generations, I think, need to adjust. And I think we're going to get the best out of this if we put the generations together.
And you mentioned the older generations there, so theoretically it must be difficult for them to adjust to this change.
Yeah, I've worked with hundreds of executives over the past years, and it's a huge difficulty for them to adjust. And that's why, one of the programs that we're doing is we're putting together startup CEOs and corporate executives together to mentor each other on innovation as well as on global expansions. And there's, that's where we put the generations together.
And does this mean that education systems need to adjust to this conscious economy that we are seeing?
I think very much, yeah, because in the past 100 years, what we've done is we've created an industrial or a machine, an education machine to pump out workers and middle managers. And as we're moving into the future where most of the work that people do not like to do and do not want to do is done by machines and artificial intelligence, we need a different system to not create workers and middle managers anymore, but to create leaders and entrepreneurs, but maybe not in the traditional sense, but in a more of a sense where people take more responsibility for their own lives.
And that sounds like something that actually could be implemented from quite early on in the education system.
I think absolutely, yeah. There's a group that I'm part of, the Global Entrepreneurship Network in Switzerland, and what they're doing is going into schools and bring entrepreneurship to schools, like from 16 or 14 upwards. And I think that's where the biggest impact really is, because if we can get people to think differently at that level already, then we won't have to have big discussions later on.
Absolutely. Now you mentioned entrepreneurs there, so what does this mean for them?
I think also entrepreneurship is becoming very different, because traditionally it was the idea of an entrepreneurship is you build a startup, you grow it, you hire lots of people, so you create jobs. I think today entrepreneurship is much, much more broad, and there's more spin-offs coming out of entrepreneurship, like the independent worker, the contractor, the freelancer, the musician, for example. I think everybody that takes the way I look at it is everybody who takes responsibility for their own lives, for their own destiny, is an entrepreneur.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for coming in today and sharing your insights with us.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's all from us here in the Geneva studios, but we want to hear how you found this interview, so please do like and comment on dukascopy.tv.